Hey, Brody.
Hey, Zach. Yeah, maybe just open with that sigh. That, I think that covers it, dude.
So today the Golden Knights played their final game of the season against the LA Kings, and we lost 2-5. And it was a free game. The game didn't matter as much, so not too beat up over it. How'd you feel about our play today?
Sort of come around on what appears to be our end of the season strategy. We had a couple guys out tonight. We had Stone out, Smith was out, Theodore was out, Schmidt was out. So, like, a lot of really key guys out resting. So, the strategy for the team obviously was don't get hurt and let's get ready for the playoffs. They were not. And I told you this. I've come kind of around on that Coyotes game where it seemed like the first period was really good for us, and then like we just sort of took the pedal off the gas. So I think they were kind of told, hey, play this first period like as hard as you can, the way that you want to play it, but also don't get hurt. So yeah, I think the end of the talking to that the guys were getting in the locker room was, just don't get hurt. So I don't know. Yeah. Like I said, I'm just sort of like, this game didn't matter, and especially because you had literally four guys out, like four key guys out. Yeah, no, the Knights weren't thinking that it really mattered all that much either.
So let's take a look at some of the stats here. So the shots on goal are about equal, and they're about average what we're used to seeing here. So 31 shots on goal for us to 32 shots on goal for them. How do we play on our shots today?
Pretty not bad. We had a lot of pretty good high quality chances. Quick stopped quite a few high quality chances. So did Fleury. Both ends of the ice, the goaltenders were playing well. So nothing to complain about. We had like a much better compared to the Coyotes game, where it seemed like some of our shots were coming from the outside. Instead, they were coming in from high percentage areas. So, like I said, we had a couple good chances that could have gone in, and just were stopped.
So let's talk about our power plays then. So we had 2 power plays. We didn't score on either of them. Are we seeing any improvement, or is our power play team out right now? Or like what's going on with that?
Different. Definitely with some of those. I mean, Theodore plays on the power play. Schmidt plays on the power play. Smith. I mean, literally everyone who is out plays on the power play. So you can't really take this one too much. But it wasn't bad today. They were moving the puck pretty well. They were moving the puck slowly, which is not exactly what you want to do. You do want to be moving the puck, and you want to be moving it around with pace, a couple touch passes, things like that. To open up the defense a little bit, but it wasn't bad. We had some pretty sustained zone time. It didn't seem like we had a hugely high quality chance on the power play, but it was. I mean, the sustained zone time, that kind of stuff. If you can get those numbers up, the goals follow.
And we successfully killed 2 of the 3 penalties. What happened in the one we didn't succeed?
Close in shot. I mean, we did all right on the penalty kill. It wasn't hugely great, and again, everyone that I named plays on the penalty kill as well, so you can take that as it was. The penalty kill itself, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't great either, but they had a couple. They had shots, and they had good high quality chances, and so the one that went in was like a scramble in front of the net. There's not really much you can do about it.
Now, hits, this is kind of what we expected. We expected to be playing a very light game, not much violence. We had 9 hits, they had 16 hits. We didn't really want to injure ourselves too much. Just playing soft.
Really, really, really light game. I was watching the Chicago, Chicago was playing Nashville, and there was a period where Chicago had 1 hit and Nashville had 2. Nobody's trying to get hurt before the off season, so everyone's playing pretty light.
Diving straight into the game, the first 3 goals were the LA Kings, which was very unfortunate. But the first one was Kovalchuk, his 15th goal of the season, 12 minutes in, unassisted. We let the first one through. Did our boy Fleury make a mistake? What happened?
No, our boy Zikov made a mistake.
Oh, no.
It was a takeaway at the Kings blue line. Kovalchuk just basically runs up, takes the puck directly from Zikov, 1-on-1 against Fleury. I've said it before. In those situations, if it gets saved, that's good. But otherwise, you expect that one to go in more often than you might expect another one. But the thing I do want to talk about is how much Kovalchuk's getting paid to score 15 goals. Dude is he has a $10 million contract or something ridiculous.
Yeah, this is the end of the season. 15 is not impressive.
No, I mean, you want at least 20 or something. He has been a total flop for the Kings, and they have him for a long time with a no-move contract.
That's unfortunate for them.
It's very unfortunate.
Well, let's talk about the second goal of the game then. Jeff Carter, his 13th goal of the game, another low goal scorer. We can't expect everyone to be up there. That was only a couple minutes later. We just let 2 in back-to-back.
So the puck comes in, gets a little bit behind the net. Fleury tries to chip it out. It's bouncing. It gets by Zikov again. This one's not his fault though. It gets by him. It's a bouncing puck. It's hard to control. The Kings pick it up at the blue line. Get a weird sort of like chippy blocked pass towards the net, and then another pass, and they got a guy alone basically in the blue paint. Nobody lost coverage there. It was just an unfortunate situation, and then if Fleury makes the stop, it's a nothing thing. It's a nothing play, and if he doesn't, it's a goal.
So that brings us into the end of the first. How do we play in the first as a whole? I know we're taking it easy, but what did we do right? What did we do wrong?
We were slow. We weren't chasing pucks the way that we need to. We weren't, like as aggressive on the forecheck, trying to take away pucks before they could get through the neutral zone. The Kings had some pretty sustained zone time on us, and that's basically just a product of not being hard on the forecheck. And I think nobody wants to explicitly say oh no, we're not really like trying all that hard. We're told not to get hurt. We're playing for the off season, but that's the case. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. It would be nice to beat the Kings, but like still.
So about halfway through the second, we had a lot of pretty quick goals happening here. 10 minutes in, the Kings go up 3-0 with Matt Roy putting in his second goal of the season. Is he a new player they have, or is he like a defenseman? Why is he so low? Why does he only have 2 goals?
Because he's bad.
He
should have more goals than that. No. So basically what happens here is the Kings have the puck in the zone, and then a penalty that didn't get called happens. Puri is on the defense of, it must have been Iafallo, I guess, who had the puck. Puri's following in, and then the Kings run a pick play where they like put somebody out there to like stop him, like basically like run into him, like a pick play in basketball or something. That you're not allowed to do that in hockey. It's interference, but whatever. You're going to see a lot of it. The Sharks have a play like that as well, where they do the same thing. It should be a penalty, and we'll see if it gets called. So Puri loses his coverage. Nobody picks up Roy. He's like at the point in the on the blue line, and he just rifles it in. Is what it is.
20 seconds later, Brandon Puri bringing in his 12th goal of the season. Like, bam. Like, that must have felt good. At least we hit our first goal. It's now 1-3.
Yee. The hot sauce. The hot sauce, Brandon Puri. Actually, the guy who got stiffed here is Schultz. We haven't even talked about Schultz. Schultz, he's the NCAA defenseman who signed with the Knights. He'll definitely be playing with the Knights next season.
And this was his first game today, right?
Yeah, today was his first game because we have Schmidt out, we have Theodore out. We've got an open space for him to come and play. So he makes a really, really great play in the neutral zone to take away a pass and get it into the offensive zone. The offensive zone, very good. Anyway, he gets it in, rims it sort of around the back end of the ice. Our forwards are all there. They're flying all over the puck. A couple passes, and then it sort of like skates out towards the slot, and Puri makes this really cool spin shot. It's actually a super cool shot. He just sort of like spins on his skate and shoots it as fast as he can, and it just breaks off quick towards the net, which is good.
So Schulk, this was his first game today. He's a brand new player to our team. We're not allowed to play him in the playoffs.
Schulk. Yes, of course. Schulk. My favorite.
Schulk.
It's Schulk. Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry.
Correct. We're not allowed to
play
him in the playoffs. Yeah, fuck you too. We're not allowed to play him in the playoffs. If we wanted to bring up somebody from the AHL from the Wolves, we could play them. But Schultz, because he signed with us after, I don't know exactly what the rule is. Basically, we're not allowed to play.
There was a deadline.
He's not allowed to play. is basically what it is.
Speaking of Schultz and Marchessault, they both assisted. It was Schultz's first assist ever, and assisted Zikov.
Valentin Zikov.
His second goal this season, really bringing it in.
Yep. So it's Marchessault behind the net, finds an open lane to Schultz at the blue line. Schultz takes a look at the net and then sees that Zikov is open back door. So he passes straight to Zikov. Zikov straight in, second of the year. Zikov is sort of an interesting guy. he was a first or a second round pick, and he's just sort of like not worked out for any of the teams because the teams that have had him up to this point haven't had the time to invest in him to make him a good player. He's not a terribly bad player. He'd be a pretty good third line player if people were willing to invest the time to, improve some of his bad habits, which the Knights have the time to do. So we've been investing in the guy, and I think that maybe people might see a little bit more of him next season. Or maybe you won't see him at all.
How often do we actually see the guy on the ice?
He's only played like 10 games for us, and we acquired him somewhere in January. He has not played a tremendous number of games for us. I imagine he's probably with the training staff a lot of the rest of the time. I think they're trying to whip him into a pretty good third line type player, and he plays really well up on that first line. He was taking Smith's place on the top line with Marchessault and Carlson. He plays really well with those guys, and he's a pretty decent replacement. So he's a guy who you don't feel bad when he's on the ice. It really just sucks that he hasn't sort of like turned into the potential that he totally had.
Well, that brings us into the end of the second. Those are the only 2 goals we scored in this game. So that puts us what, 2-3 at this point. How are we feeling about that period?
Much better. We had a little bit more pace. Obviously, it's good to score goals. I still think that they're not doing all of the things that they need to, and they're going to be doing in the playoffs. But I mean, we've already been over this. I don't think that they're really trying all that hard.
So going in straight into the third, the power play goal for the LA Kings, their 4th goal. Kopitar, his 22nd goal this season. How'd that happen?
So the Kings, pretty good shot on goal, rebound off Fleury. Not really something he should have controlled. It's just an unfortunate rebound. The Kings are there. It's a scramble in the net. This was actually challenged for goaltender interference. To me, if that one last night against the Coyotes was not goaltender interference, this one obviously can't be either. But again, nobody understands the rules. It's a scramble in front. It could go either way.
Well, we already went over. No one really knows what goaltender interference is.
Yeah, 0% of people know what goaltender interference is. Please, somebody clarify that rule.
Well, let's just talk about the last goal of the game. It was the empty net goal. How long was our net empty before this goal went in?
Approximately 1/10 of 1 millisecond. Just like,
yikes.
Like
that is unfortunate.
Yeah, no, it was like Fleury's like climbing over the bench, and it was just like, yep, straight in. Yeah, no, it was not a very long time. Yeah, I don't know. It's empty net. There's nothing interesting about empty net goals.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of the third. We've lost the game 2-5. I mean, we didn't really go into this trying all that hard, but I mean, how'd our third play?
It was approximately similar to the first period. I think the second, like maybe in between the periods, Gallant was like, hey, you should guys, like, let's show a little bit more effort out there. And then he saw the second period and he was like, that's the kind of, like, that's a little bit better. And then they like took the gas off a little bit. It kind of sucks that like this had to be Schultz's first game, but you gotta do your debut sometime. So
okay, well, let's break down our offense and defense as a whole in this game then. It was just the thing.
Yeah. I mean, there's not really
hockey was played today?
Hockey. I can guarantee you that yes, indeed, hockey was played. It wasn't great hockey.
Very effectively.
It was not effective hockey, but it was in fact hockey. Like I said,
hey, we're relaxing. We're taking a break. We're we're chilling.
Yeah, we had like I mean I mentioned at the top we had our chances. We had a couple good chances, and if a couple more of those go in, maybe we come out on top of this one. It's just the way that it goes.
Well, let's take a moment and talk about the next game. We're going into playoffs. We're going to the San Jose Sharks.
Playoffs.
We don't know exactly when our first game's going to be. We're going to play the San Jose Sharks. They have home ice for the start of it. We'll talk a bit more about how playoffs works later, but what are we kind of expecting going into this first game?
Yeah, well, we're looking at it's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday is going to be this game. I'm expecting a lot of pace, a lot of fast moving. I've heard some people say that the way that the Sharks play sort of plays into Vegas's hands. The Sharks have one of the worst goals against and one of the best goals for. So that means they score a lot of goals, but a lot of goals get scored on them. as opposed to us, where we have a pretty good differential between that. We have a good number of goals for and not a terribly high number of goals against. And so basically what that means is that if our defense is there, if Fleury is there, then and we can score goals on them. I mean, it's the same thing that we've seen all season when we played them. The games that we lost, Subban was in the net, but they were pretty close games. It was 3-2 and 5-4. And both of them were in overtime. I think the 3-2 one was not overtime. But then the games where Fleury was in, we won like 7-0 and like 7-3, like ridiculous, like really high scoring games. And so I don't think that this is going to be an easy series by any stretch of the imagination. It's going to be a lot of really tough hockey, but I also think that it might be a really super entertaining, high-scoring series. And the way that the Sharks play is super open style, so it's going to be back and forth a lot. And if the Knights can match their speed and their intensity, should be an easy win. So I'm going to say maybe 5 to 6 games. I don't think that we're going to go 7 games, and I think the Knights are going to win 5 or 6, especially because we're starting on the road. If we can win at least one of those road games, we'll be definitely in on a good foot. If we win both of those, we could sweep the Sharks.
Well, we will be dropping a playoffs video talking about how playoffs work and all of the games, who's in it, what's going on. We'll be dropping one of those soon, and we will see you guys next time on VGK Recap.
Playoffs.